been out there vigorously defending your name, your honor, and denying these allegations fiercely. And I want to give you a chance now that it's come out in writing tonight to get your reaction.
Well, first of all, the woman who accused me has now stated categorically that she may have misidentified me, confused me with someone else. And these documents, if all the documents are...
But Alan, you are such a uniquely beautiful man. What do you mean? This makes no sense to me. The Dersh
will prove categorically that she did misidentify me, that I never met her, never heard of her, never spoke to her. And I can prove it by independent means. I have all my travel records. I have all my television appearances. I can prove that I couldn't possibly have been anywhere near any of the people who were involved in this. I was Epstein's lawyer. Of course I flew on his plane with Ken Starr, with Roy Black, with other lawyers. We flew to meetings with the U.S. attorney, with the state attorney. And so people have to be very careful about what they're believing and when it happened. For example, as soon as Epstein was shown to be what he was, I ended my personal association with him completely, but I maintained.
Wait, what? What do you mean? You got him a sweetheart plea deal that allowed him to leave the prison and lower his sentence tremendously. What do you mean? Once it was revealed to me what Epstein did, you were his lawyer.
The legal relationship with him. I've represented some of the worst people in the world and continue to do so. That's my life. And of course I represented Epstein. Now, the one point I do want to make is that I understand all the feminist groups and the radicals. And
I'm pretty sure he maintained a relationship with him post the legal situation.
I think this is the worst thing in the world, that anybody ever had any contact with Jeffrey Epstein. Where are all those radical feminists when it comes to the Hamas rapes of young Jewish girls, sexual abuse, beheadings? They are what?
Yo! He said, listen, I may have been on that island. I may have legally defended Jeffrey Epstein. But what about Hamas? Do you condemn Hamas? That's awesome. I don't think you can use that here, man. That's like, what a wild take. God, oh man, that's awesome. This guy is the best. I love that he is the best and brightest legal mind in the United States of America. This is the best we have to offer.
Quiet. They are silent. The incredible hypocrisy of the Me Too movement. Me Too, except if you're a Jew. And I want to have a list of all the radical feminists who are pushing hard, and I understand that.
Uh-oh. Jeffrey Epstein wants a list of all the women? Hold on.
To get all these names revealed, and I want to know how many of them have ever actually condemned Hamas for the rapes that we now know occurred.
This is pretty funny because it's like, this is not an argument you can use in court at all, okay? I've talked about this quite a bit because, like, people, debate perverts love saying, like, well, what about this? What about that? And it's like, if you were called into question in a criminal proceeding, okay, you can't turn around and go, yes, judge, I may have murdered all those people, but what about other people that murder people all the time? This is completely irrelevant. You can't use that as an argument. Law tip. Alan Dershowitz is a terminal case of defense attorney brain, so please be gentle to the young man as he enters his twilight years. I also have defense attorney brain. Please be nice to me. I also condemn Hamas.
And the murders that occurred, how many have been silent, and how many, like the National Lawyers Guild, have actually approved of what Hamas did? So let's put this in context. I'm thrilled at all these things.
He spent the first minute and a half being like, yeah, sure. You know, I had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. It was a personal one. I mean, not a personal one. It was a personal one, but then after I represented him, it was non-personal. It was just simply legal. Okay? And then the rest of the video is just talking about Hamas. I have it on good authority that Virginia Giuffre never condemned Hamas, which is why it is appropriate. My actions were appropriate no matter what they were.
Papers have come out. I urged them. I went to court. I asked for everything to come out because I knew that I had done nothing wrong and the papers would exculpate me. What I only worry about is that maybe the judges withheld certain documents. I want to make sure every single document comes out, including the documents that cast doubt on the credibility of some of the accusers and some of the accused.
Me too, except if you're a Jew is a banger line. No, it's not. It's so bad. It's such a, no, it's like shocking how bad Zionist propaganda is in general. Like, it's genuinely shocking. I feel like all the best and brightest creative Jewish minds are just anti-Zionist, or at least like wanting to avoid being tarnished with that brush entirely. Like, there is not a single person, straight up, Me Too, unless you're a Jew, is not a banger, in my opinion.
Public has the right to see everything and make their own judgment. We do not put the country at guilt by accusation, but guilt by association.
But by the way, I think that is fair. And I still, like you, believe that in the presumption of innocence. And I don't rush to judgment.
Yeah, except unless you're gay, in which case I automatically will say to everyone that you're a pedophile. Like Fox News having, dude, this is the same energy as Tucker Carlson constantly running with this narrative that, like, you know, queer people are all gay pedophiles. What's going on? You know, back in the day, gay people were not allowed to be around children. But now, it seems like they're around children all the time. As a matter of fact, they can even adopt children. What's going on? And then having the one guy who allegedly is a gay pedophile on his broadcast and just kind of yucking it up is just so odd. It's so odd to me that these guys, it seems, think everyone and anyone is a pedophile except for the people that may or may not have been reasonably either convicted or defended those who were convicted pedophiles, or, you know, maybe their court cases fell apart when suspiciously a bunch of their victims perished and pulled their claims, or yeah, accused under oath is a good way to describe it. Yeah. It's so odd.
And frankly, on many high-profile cases in this country, this show, starting with Richard Jewell, we've been right. We were right about Duke Lacrosse. We were right about UVA. We were right about Ferguson, Missouri, and Freddie Gray in Baltimore, because I didn't rush to judgment.
What?
And I had impeccable sources. I have known you for years. I don't really know why you like to defend these high-profile clients. Everybody certainly deserves a defense, including Mr. Epstein, including O.J. Simpson, and you and I had wars over Bill Clinton back in the day.
Sure.
You've taken on these high-profile cases. Why? And do you regret it at all? And did you ever see anything untoward about Mr. Epstein?
I never did, and I do regret having ever met Jeffrey Epstein, because it caused me the worst few years of my life when I was falsely accused, and I was canceled by the 92nd Street Y, canceled by Temple Emmanuel, and then she...
Canceled by the 92nd Street Y? What? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Dude, yeah. I got canceled for successfully defending one of the most famous pedophiles on the planet when I successfully defended him sex trafficking minors. Now, listen, everyone deserves a lawyer. Everyone deserves representation, okay? Everyone deserves a trial I do agree with that. The difference, however, is that, like, in this circumstance, Alan Dershowitz definitely went above and beyond, number one, and also did have a personal relationship with this person and has gotten massages that we know of, to which his defense was, I always kept my underwear on. So this notion that, like, he is blameless and guiltless here is ridiculous. Alan Dershowitz also recently, not that long ago, wrote an entire opinion editorial on why we have to lower the age of consent laws from a constitutional perspective. So, I mean, this is a very much like if it quacks and walks like a duck, it might be a duck situation. Except in this circumstance, we're not talking about ducks, but we're talking about being a pedophile. Okay? Allegedly. Yes, for those of you who do not know, here is Alan Dershowitz defending his op-ed, suggesting that age of consent for sex should be lowered. Alan Dershowitz, the outspoken, controversial Harvard Law School emeritus professor, is defending himself on Twitter after an op-ed resurfaced in which he suggested the age of consent for statutory rape should be lowered. Dershowitz made the suggestion in 1997 in the Los Angeles Times, suggesting that 15 was a reasonable age of consent, no matter how old the other partner was. The op-ed drew new attention after it was mentioned in a lengthy New Yorker story posted online Monday that took a deep dive into Dershowitz's life and his connections, both personal and professional, to Jeffrey Epstein, a wealthy convicted sex offender who has been charged with sexually exploiting and abusing dozens of minor girls. On Monday afternoon, Richard W. Painter, a former White House ethics lawyer who is now a law professor at the University of Minnesota, wondered on Twitter in a series of tweets why Dershowitz had written the op-ed. Reasonable people can disagree about whether the age of consent should be as low as 14. Is Alan Dersh kidding? Pun intended. In a third tweet, Painter cited a line from the op-ed. Moreover, puberty is arriving earlier, so therefore the age of consent should be lowered? ? Alan Dersh was off the deep end when he wrote this 20 years ago. Except Alan Dershowitz could have said, hey, my bad, I didn't mean it, it was 20 years ago, but instead he doubled down on it. Your Honor, my client may walk like a pedophile, talk like a pedophile, defend pedophilia, defend pedophiles, and also suspiciously want to make it so that pedophilia, to a certain degree, actually it's a phebophilia, is legal. But make no mistake, he's definitely indeed a pedophile. Which is wild. Like, you have all of this tremendous evidence, okay? All of this stuff combined together builds a really bad case for Mr. Dershowitz. Okay? And yet, for some reason, for some weird reason, okay? What is happening here? God damn it. Hold on. I don't know why my camera is so blurry. Okay, it's back. For some weird reason, despite all of this evidence, all of this circumstantial evidence, I guess, and also direct ones, weirdly enough, it's not enough for right-wing commentators because Alan is a right-wing guy. So strange. So strange. Anyway. Where were we? Okay, let's continue.
Ultimately admitted that she may have confused me with someone else. And so, things obviously have gotten a lot better. Now, of course, these revelations put my name in the headlines again. But I've never been afraid of that because I have nothing to be afraid of, nothing to be ashamed of. I did nothing wrong. Would I do it again? Not if I knew I was going to be falsely accused. But if not for that, I've represented far worse people.
Wait, what? Then Jeffrey Epstein.
Represented murderers. I've represented people who have done terrible, terrible things. That's an essential part of.
That's, dude. Okay, that's yet another weird admission to say you've represented far worse people. Emma said Israel. I'm sorry. Are you saying that, like, murderers of different sorts, like OJ is worse than Jeffrey Epstein? Is that the argument here? It's weird. What does that mean? That almost feels like you're saying, maybe, I don't know. I don't want to put words in our friend Alan Dershow's mouth, but he's kind of making it seem like Jeffrey Epstein's crimes weren't as bad as other criminals that he's defended. Like he said, he didn't even say worse. He said far worse. Okay. That's wild. Kind of an odd thing to say. False equivalency, murderers are worse than a guy who ran a 30-year pedophile sex traffic ring. Yeah, no, that's what he's saying. Like far, far worse. I represented a guy who served a 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour to people that don't have subscriptions. But of course, at the top of the hour, the worst crime of all happens. A 3-minute ad break. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, where you get 1 free Prime subscription a month. And that way you can represent yourself and defend yourself from the top of the hour ad break. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. To be fair, like Emhut said, he is currently in the process of defending Israel on charges that it's committing a genocide. So I do think that might be maybe the one instance where it's worse than like a guy who ran a successful pedophile sex trafficking ring. Like there's like very few instances where you can be like, here is a worse crime, right? And yeah, I would say, ethnic cleansing is probably a worse crime. But like, that's it.
Of our system. If I don't do it, who will? I had tenure. I had an obligation to defend the most controversial, the worst people. Sometimes I won, sometimes I lost, sometimes I created a.
I thought he was suggested to represent Israel. Don't think he actually is. I really hope he is. I want it to happen so bad.
Plea bargain like it did in this case. By the way, Epstein was furious at me for the plea bargain. He wouldn't pay my fee because he thought I had done a terrible job, because he ended up going to jail and having to report as a sex offender. The rest of the world thought it was a sweetheart. But that's what criminal defense.
You thought you did a terrible job? What are you? Okay, this is bullshit. I'm sorry. No, he didn't do a terrible job. He did too good of a job. That is crazy. What are you talking about? He was dead to rights. The 2006 plea bargain is unimaginable. The Department of Justice came out with a report like a couple years ago. Where they said it was a major mistake that Jeffrey Epstein was given this plea bargain. Oh, he said Epstein said he did a bad job.
Lawyers do. I'm 85 years old. I hope the good Lord gives me the strength to continue.
Oh, Epstein thought he did a bad job. Yeah, he's lying. There's no shot. There is absolutely no shot Jeffrey Epstein said you did a bad job at this.
And having to report as a sex offender. The rest of the world.
You have selective hearing? He said, Epstein, do you not listen? No, I don't have selective listening, chat. I'm looking at 26,000 chatters in here and trying to read exactly what everyone is saying while simultaneously listening to Alan Dershowitz in the worst camera audio setup of all time.
World thought it was a sweetheart. But that's what criminal defense lawyers do. I'm 85 years old. I hope the good Lord gives me the strength to continue to represent the most despised, the most controversial, the most unpopular people in the world. Look at the hell I got for representing Donald Trump. I did that, and I lost a lot of my friends. And people say to me all the time, oh, I understand Epstein, but not Trump. Or I understand Trump, but not Epstein. You have to understand that.
I don't think anybody says I understand Epstein, but not Trump. I don't think that people say that. I think he's making up a lot of stuff. He's also contradicting himself. On the one hand, he's like, oh, I hate that I defended the worst, most despised criminals. But also simultaneously, he's like, oh, I wish I could do it again. Like, am I mishearing again? The role of a
defense lawyer is to defend everybody who's falsely accused.
Well, I'll say this.
Accused or even truthfully accused. Yeah.
I think you're going to be the only one that does have the courage to say, no, it's not true. And you do make a good point. If there's exculpatory information that is not released as part of the information that is being given out by the judge, I think that's unfair to everybody, and that would be unfair to you. And if you believe it's exculpatory, I think the public should see that as well. Professor, thank you.
I don't need any more exculpatory material because the woman has already admitted that she may have clearly misidentified me, and that's enough for me. I'm going on with my life. I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing for years. But thank you, Sean, for an opportunity to present my case.
Professor, we appreciate your time as always. Thank you for being with us. Hey, Sean
So courageous for being a cloud chaser. Yeah. So you do have the capacity to pick your clients as a defense attorney. Okay. Like he didn't get like a random client selection as a pro bono when he was offering pro bono public defender work or something. Not pro bono, but public defender work. Like he chose those clients. Not saying that like ideologically you can't choose some of the worst scumbags to defend. It's just that these were very high-profile cases that he personally took on, just so you understand. He personally took on these very high-profile cases of people who were, like, you know, famously doing illicit things because either he had a personal relationship with them or because he wanted to. Yeah, pro bono isn't the same as public defender work. I know. That's why I corrected myself. Okay?